This
that
conference
is
will now be recorded.
hello.
That particular network is like one of the advantage we have. Similar to that, we have different things which we can use.
Okay, got it.
So see here, let's say if you want to see the jobs which you are running in the background or what, just execute job command. And if you give -L, it will show you the process IDs. So as of now, I don't have any job running. Okay. So now let's
Okay.
say, uh, okay. So ping google.com. Okay. When this command is getting executed, I cannot execute any other command, right? See, when I type something, it will not execute as a command. Okay, because I
Yes,
don't have
yes.
shell. It is keep on executing. So I don't want to fall in. If I want again in the same time, I want to run this command. Okay, I don't want to stop this command and execute another command. I want this command running as well as I want to execute another command also. Then in
Okay.
these situations, so what we'll try to do, we will execute this command in the background. So executing command in the background in the sense you need to give ampersand here at the end. Okay. So when you execute this, like this, you can see you can execute the command called jobs. Okay, you can see there
Mhm.
it's showing you.
So,
Okay, maybe
is it
it's showing you
like
like this.
similar to detach mode and attach mode, something like that?
Something not something like that, but this is like you are throwing your process in the background. Okay, foreground in the
Okay.
sense you can't do anything, you can't even execute any other command until it is completed. Okay, so I don't want to
Okay.
fall into that particular situations, so that's the reason we are throwing your commands into background. Okay, so now,
Okay.
so these are the things which we have. Let me mm, job hyphen L 2395. Okay, 95. I'm trying to kill it. Okay, so now the job has been killed. Okay, so you
Okay.
can see the jobs are not available right now. I killed it. Okay,
Okay.
anyways, that is the thing which we have. So let's discuss about the underlying concept which we have in Docker. Okay, how Docker infrastructure is built and how it is working right now and everything. Okay, so
Okay.
by default, let's wait for a few minutes. Or okay, Harish joined, Nitin, Rahul, Suresh. Okay, most of the people have joined. Okay, let's start. I think I have opened one document I shared with you. Let's see that. Okay. Okay. So now let us come in and recall the architecture of this Docker and all. Okay. So now remember one thing, Docker is running as a daemon. Okay. You already know that. So Docker is running as a daemon. So how will you verify it? System, systemctl. Okay. Status, Docker. You can see this is the Docker daemon which is running in the background. Okay, it's running as a service. So this is the main process IDs we have. This is the main process ID. Under that we have the child process IDs here. Okay, so this is how it is running right now. So this is like Docker daemon. So server is nothing but Docker server is nothing but okay, it's running. It is a daemon which is running on the server. So Docker daemon is running in the server in the sense this is the actual server where you have installed your Docker. Okay. Whenever I say a Docker, it is a Docker engine. Okay. And now, so this Docker daemon is running in the background. So how you are trying to create containers and all. Okay, so that is from CLI, right? So what is the CLI option we are using? Docker is a command which we are using in order to communicate to your daemon. Okay, pass the information to the daemon. So who will pass the information to your daemon? So someone has to take the responsibility of taking this particular input. Let us say Docker images. I have executed this command. Okay. So whenever I execute this command, this information need to be passed to the daemon, and daemon will search for the images in the local directory, and then it will give the information back to the terminal. Okay, so that is what happening in the background. So who will pass this information from the Docker to the Docker daemon? In the sense from CLI to the daemon. So this particular concept will be taken care by REST API. Okay, you all know, right? What is REST API? So REST API is an API call which will program interface. Okay, it's like whatever the command you execute, it will convert into a JSON file, and that JSON file will be given to the REST API call, and that REST API will pass information to the Docker daemon. Okay, so whatever the response it gets back to the Docker REST API, so that information again it will convert as a normal CLI output, and then it will give it to the Docker image command. Okay, and it will show in the terminal the output. Okay, so this is what happens in the background. So that is how this architecture, this diagram is representing. So here you are executing the commands, right? Docker CLI commands. Okay, these commands will pass information to the Docker REST API, and REST API will pass information to the Docker daemon. You understood? And Docker daemon will search for the things which you are looking for, and then it will give it back to the client. In the sense, it is Docker CLI. So, can someone tell me Docker can be installed in one machine and CLI can be installed in one machine? Is it possible or not?
Yes.
Okay, yes, it is possible. So Docker CLI package can be installed on one machine, and your Docker daemon can be installed on other machine. So how will you communicate? So your Docker command has to know where your Docker daemon is running. Okay, so we need to give the API URL and all. So through that, it will try to communicate to your Docker daemon. So for you guys, the task is install Docker engine on one machine and install Docker CLI. What you will do, install Docker in one machine, so install Docker CLI on another machine wherever you want, another VM, and try to pass the information or try to pull the images or create images from that particular CLI. So do it from your end. Okay, if you're facing some issue, I will try to help you. Okay, that is your task. Got it right? What I told? So I'm just writing the task. So, mm, task. Task is nothing but I'm just writing here so that you can understand. It is not scrolling up. Okay, you can see
So do
here.
we get separate packages for each?
Yes, yes, yes. So Docker CLI install on one machine. Okay. Okay. Second thing is in Docker daemon. Okay, DAEMON. Daemon need to be installed on another machine.
So what
Okay.
is Docker engine then? Like if both are like Docker
Docker
engine
engine, Docker engine. See, Docker is called as Docker engine. Okay, nothing difference. Simply they will call as Docker. That's it.
so Docker
Daemon
engine.
in the sense in a Linux, daemon in the sense whatever the process is running in the background as a service, that is called as daemon. Okay, daemon is nothing but a a server, a service which is running in the background is called as daemon. That's it. Docker daemon in the sense Docker service running in the background. So that's the reason it is called as Docker daemon.
Okay.
Okay. Now try to communicate to Docker engine from CLI. Okay, so this is what you need to try. Okay, first thing is like Docker CLI install on one machine, Docker daemon need to be installed on another machine. Now try to communicate to Docker engine from CLI. I hope you understood this particular question, right? Then you will understand. Then you will come to know what are the things need to be followed. Okay, what are the things you need to take care of. Okay, so you will start researching on it. So that is where I want. Okay, I hope yeah. Okay. Then so that is one point you don't remember. So this is the actual thing which you are trying to do in the background. So your CLI is passing the information to the Docker daemon through REST API call. Okay, that's how it works. Now, so I already told you what is the difference between virtual machines and containers. Now let us try to recall the image. Okay, as I already told you, images is nothing but bundled together with different layers. Each and every layer has certain action which is performed on that particular layer. Okay, so how many layers you have in an image? How will you identify it? So using Docker history 745. 745. So Docker history and just give Ubuntu. Okay, so it is a latest tag. Okay, this image it is trying to show. Okay, so these are the layers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 layers. In 6 layers, we have a different commands or something, nothing but action. Okay, last command will be written at the top. Last layer will be written at the top. So here, this is bundled together. So that is what I am trying to show. Ubuntu latest in the sense, just a name of the image. In this image, we have n number of layers. Okay, some images will have 4 layers, some images will have 5 layers, some images will have 10 layers and all. Each and every layer has certain size, depends upon the command and the action you're trying to do. So here you can see cmd command doesn't have any size. Okay, it's just a normal command. So here he is trying to install some package, he's modifying some files. So that's the reason the size is big, larger compared to any other layers. Okay, so these layers are like has certain size, and each and all the layers are bundled together and it is called as a image. Okay, so how we have ISO, right? ISO in the sense we have group of directories and libraries and binaries written into that. Okay, all are bundled together and it is written as an ISO, right? Similar to that, your image is nothing but bundled, and number of layers are bundled together and it is shown as an image. And your image is not writable, it is only readable. You can read the information but you cannot write the information. Okay, so then you might ask a question saying that, so how am I modifying the /etc host file or /etc um, uh, what do we say, varlib or /proc, whatever it is, you are modifying the file. You are modifying the file in the sense you are modifying in the container, not in the image. It will take a copy of that particular copy on write, COW concept. Okay, your Docker will use COW concept, copy on write. So what is copy on write? So let us discuss on that. Let us take one example. Okay, now let's say you have created a container using this image. So it is linked in the background. It will create on top of this particular image layers. Okay, now whatever the commands you are executing or whatever the packages you are installing in the container will be executed on this particular layer. So this is called as thick layer. This is thin layer and this is called as thick layer, which is also called as read write layer. It is called as read only layer. Every layer has certain ID, randomly generated ID. Okay, even container is also having some ID, right? Obviously. So Docker ps command, you can see the ID. Okay, so this read write layer, whatever the installations you do, it will be executed on this particular command. Okay, when you're trying to modify /etc host file or something, you're not actually modifying in the image. What immediately image will try to do, it will take a copy of that particular file into this container and then it will modify the entry, and then it will be stored in this particular layer. Okay, it can read the data, right? So it can use the file and then it will store in the this particular layer. When you delete the container, automatically this particular details are deleted. Okay, since if everybody has the capability of overriding the data here, then it will create a problem for other containers, right? See, he might require one data and he might require one data. So everybody cannot modify the same file. So that's the reason we have a COW concept, copy and write. So whichever you want to modify, it will create a copy on that particular container and then it will modify the file and it will be saved in that particular layer itself, container layer itself. Okay. Is that clear, guys? This is important, which I told you. This you need to remember. I hope so. Okay. So these are the layers. So n number of layers, thick layers will be created. That is called as a read-write layer. Will be created based on the number of containers you create on the using this image. Okay, and remember, don't delete the image when there is a container running in the background. Anyways, you cannot delete it, but I'm saying that don't try to do it. At least don't say that yes, we can delete. Say that clearly. First, we need to ensure that is there any container attached to this particular image. Use this image, then remove that particular container, and then delete the image. So let's try to see one example on that. Okay. So there is a Jenkins image. So let's try to delete it. Okay. So what is the image name exactly? It is Jenkins latest, right? No, Jenkins latest. Yeah. So let's try to remove it. So what is the command? Docker rmi. Okay. And then let's try to use Jenkins latest. So what it is trying to say, your daemon has responded an error saying that conflict, unable to remove the repository reference Jenkins colon latest container is running in the background. Okay, even though if we use force, let's see what will happen. -f. So now we can see it is untagged. You can see the image is untagged. You can see the ID. Why? Because this Jenkins is created from a different tag. Okay, let's now see Docker ps command. So you can see the container, it is running right now. Okay, so you can see here it is untagged. Now if I try to use again Docker Jenkins, sorry, Docker Jenkins. You can see here. See that that particular content has been not removed entirely. You can see here. Though I executed the force, it is not removed. It is just it is untagged. Untagged in the sense it has removed the metadata information of that particular image. Okay, the data of the actual image is not removed. You can see the size 696 MB itself. Okay, so it you cannot remove it completely. Okay, so that's the reason it is not recommended to try to remove a image when there is a containers running with this particular image. Okay, so that is what we need to take care of. Okay, so it will say like if we can we use the command docker rmi space hyphen e f. Yes, it will try to remove only the it will try to untag the image, but it will not remove the image actually. Okay, so that is what we need to tell. So that is a basic thing which we need to remember in this particular diagram. It explains a lot. Okay, now so by default what kind of network we are using? Only bridge, host, and over none network. Okay, overlay I will tell you later. So this network is important because in order to create a container or communicate a container, so we need to use this kind of networks. And remember, you cannot communicate from one network to another network. Let's say you have created two bridge networks on your own. That is called as user-defined network. Okay, let's say you have created two different user-defined networks. Okay, so then you cannot communicate a container which is present in one user-defined network and a container which is present in another user-defined network. You cannot communicate between them. It is not possible. Okay, you cannot ping. So that is a restriction which we have. That is called as namespaces. Okay, so what is a namespaces? Namespace is nothing but isolating the resource from one. one person to another person, or from one, the same thing, from one person to another person, in the sense it's not person actually, from one device to another device. Okay, so it is like isolation which is created. So Docker entirely runs on three different things. One is namespaces, C group, okay, and then file system. Okay, so Docker runs on three concepts. Okay, namespaces. They uses a technology called namespaces. Okay, and C groups, and then file system. Okay, these three technologies are used by Docker in order to achieve the containers and their particular functionalities. Okay, so what is namespaces? In namespaces, we have namespace is nothing but isolating the resource between two different components. Okay, so isolating, what you can tell is like isolating resources between the components. Okay, so that is called as namespace. Okay, so C groups. What is C group? I'll tell you after that. I will explain namespace in detail about later. What a C group is, it is called as control group. Okay. Let's say I already told you, right? So control groups are nothing but, let's say I gave certain RAM to my container. Okay. Let's say I have given some limit. Okay. So my Docker daemon has to take care that my container should not cross more than the limit which I gave, right? So who will take care of this? Docker alone cannot take these things, right? It has multiple things which need to take care of. So what it will do, it will give the responsibility to the C groups. What C groups will do, it will ensure that all the containers are running according to the limitations they have specified or created with. Okay, so that's how it runs in the background. Okay, C groups are nothing but control groups. Control groups in the sense, none of the container, it will ensure that it is not crossing the limits. Okay, whatever it is assigned. It can be a network, it can be a process, it can be a what do we say, like memory, CPU, storage, okay, network, anything, whatever it is, it will ensure that it is not crossing the limit. Okay, that is called as control group. So what is file system? File system in the sense, we have different file system in the Linux operating system and in Windows, and when we have in pen drive, whatever device you are using. Okay, we have different file systems. Okay, so similar to that, your Docker also uses certain file system to write the data in the layer. So we are writing the data into this layer, right? It uses certain file system to write it. Okay, so that file system are different, like BTRFS, okay, overlay network, sorry, overlay driver, overlay 2 driver. So don't be confused about overlay network and overlay file system. Okay, overlay file system, overlay 2 file system, BTRFS. Okay, so we have, it uses different kinds of file system which are supported by Docker. In the background, it uses, see, that is a main front end component in Docker. In the background, it will use a different file system of the base Linux operating system. Okay, that is what we need to remember. Okay, so these three components are bundled together, which is called as wrapper. Okay, all these three functionalities are bundled as a wrapper. Okay, all together. Is it clear, or do you have any questions in this? So we can have a discussion, because this technology, you need to understand how Docker is developed, what components they are using, what functionalities they are using in order to achieve this container technology, so that you can understand Docker a bit more. If your basics are strong enough, then you can survive anywhere. So how will you understand what kind of file system you are using as of now? You can see here in Docker info. Mm. So this is the C group driver we are using right now. Okay. And then this is the storage driver we are using. That is overlay 2. In backend, it is using EXTFS, external file system. Anything else? Yeah. Network types, what we are using, bridge, host, MAC VLAN, null, and overlay. Okay. So these are the logs we have, which can be mounted. Spulk, we can use system log, we can use funnelD. Okay. We can use funnelD as a component which will collect the logs. Okay. FluentD it is. I'll tell you when we come across Kubernetes. Okay. This funnelD and all. Um,
This one GCP logs. So where exactly these logs are available?
See, actually, these are the technologies which we have. AWS log synthesis, it is not present here. This is
Okay,
a tool
okay,
which is used to collect the logs. Similarly,
okay,
in Linux, we have syslogs. This is the actual log which will store the information. Okay,
okay,
and generally, okay,
okay, okay,
we are not using Splunk and everything. Okay, to collect the logs.
okay.
These are like supported ones which we can use in order to collect the logs.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Sudham, it's like it would only work with the listed tools mentioned here.
Yeah, as of now, it is supported with this and recommended one. If you want, you can use third party, but they may not say, they will say that if you are facing some problem, it is not up to us. It is not the
Okay,
responsibility of Docker team. Okay.
okay,
Even though if you raise the concern also, they will not try, they will say that we have not recommended this one to be used as in our list. Okay.
okay. I was thinking of Logstash.
Okay. Logstash and all. See, Logstash is there, but it is actually used for different concepts. That is ELK, right? Elastic,
Yeah,
Logstash, and Kibana.
Elastic.
Okay, so the
Yes.
Logstash is nothing but anyway it will try to use the syslog and some other thing. Okay, for container
Mhm.
specific, they have built a new tool called FluentD. We can use this one. Now everyone will
Okay.
start using. Maybe after few years or few months, you will see this particular tool coming into picture. Right away,
Okay.
we are using in our company. We are using it. No other
Okay.
person is using this. No other team is using it actually. I've seen so many documents and all. It has just started. Okay, so this will pass information to not ELK. We have one more tool called Prometheus. Prometheus, Prometheus. Actually, what Logstash will do, Logstash will pass the information to the Elasticsearch, and Elasticsearch will store the information in the Kibana dashboard, right? You know
Yes.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
similar to that, FluentD will collect the logs from all the components, and then it will give the information to the Prometheus.
Oh.
Okay,
Okay.
Prometheus is a dashboard. Remember that. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So I
Uh,
hope this is clear. So anything else, guys? Anything you want to look at?
can you again come over with namespaces, Sudham? I did not
Okay, namespace in the
grasp
sense,
that.
let's say we have. Oh, I have not explained in detail. I just told you namespace in the sense isolating the resource of the two different components. Let's say they have two containers running in the background in your Docker. Okay, your Docker 1 is trying to send a packet, Docker 2 is trying to send a packet. Both are trying to communicate to the physical machine because everything we need to communicate to the physical machine in Docker technology, right? We need to use the resource of the physical machine. So when everyone is trying to contact to the physical machine, the same device, then how come it will differentiate from one container to another container? How come your physical device will know that this packet belongs to this container and this packet belongs to this container? Okay, so how it will identify that? So that will be identified using namespaces. So what namespace will do in network namespace I'm talking about. Similarly, we have 7 types of namespaces. Okay, so when we come across network, so the what do we say? Yeah. So the packets which are received by Docker 1 will be flowing only through one particular namespace. Let us say you have two pipelines, right? One is for incoming pipe water flow and one is for outgoing water flow. Okay, both cannot be clubbed, right? Similar to that, namespace is nothing but isolating the resources. Okay, what resources? There are 7 types of resource: network, process, and everything. Okay, so what happens with this? What advantage will have? The physical device can segregate the packets of first container and second container. Both cannot be clubbed. It can give back the response only to that particular respective container, because both are not in the same namespace. They are in two different namespaces. Okay, if someone asks you a definition about namespaces, tell them that isolating the resources.
Okay, got it.
How many resources? There are 7 resources which can be used in namespace. Process, names, a network. We have user ID, and then we have IPC. Okay, we have different types of namespaces. Meanwhile, we'll discuss tomorrow, but on Monday. But try to understand what are the namespaces we have. Okay, so if you want, you can search in Google and search for Linux namespaces. Okay, so you can go to the wiki document, official wiki of Linux namespaces, and here you can see MNT mount, process ID, network, which I explained to you right now. Inter-process communication is nothing but IPC. UTS, it is nothing but allows a single process to appear to be different host and different domain name in different process. Okay, let's say you have different host file, right? /etc host file. So if you want to differentiate from one container to another container, we need to have this particular technology, UTS. And then user ID, okay, control groups. Okay, so these are the 7 components which we have. Okay.
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 So it's like each container is maintaining its own unique ID.
Yes, it has a unique ID, and the packets will flow only through that particular channels. The process will
Okay.
flow only through that particular channel. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So these are the technologies which we have in Docker. As of now, we are not using overlay network. That will come into picture only when you have Docker Swarm or Kubernetes into existence. So as of now, remember only the network types are nothing but host, none, and bridge. Okay. So user can create his own bridge networks, that is called as user defined networks. Okay. I already told you how to see the information, how to create a network, everything we have discussed. Okay, I think it is not required to discuss right now. And then, so this diagram I already explained. As I already told you, it is a read-only layers, and these are read-write layers, container layer. And then volume we have discussed what is TempFS mount. We have seen what is volume mount, and then bind mount. Okay, bind mount is nothing but the mount namespace which we have seen. Okay, every mount is different. Okay, all are not clubbed together. They are created in a namespace. Is that clear, guys? Because why I'm trying to repeat the concept is because if someone is missing, we can try to explain that. I can try to explain it, or else you can try to recall. Because you need to be strong enough in Docker. So then only you can understand other parts. Okay, other components which are coming into picture. Storage we have discussed, and then lot of other things. How to create a storage on your own, how to mount it to the container and all. And then we have seen a
So,
Docker file. Yeah.
so Sudham, in network, as you said, none, is it like similar disabling the network?
Yeah, we have created a network. We have attached a new network to the running container. We have detached the network. Okay, bridge networks. Okay, I have created a network with a specific IP range. Okay, I created a container with a specific IP. Yeah, I did a lot of things right in container in a
Yes,
networking
yes.
part. I think we have took one day to complete that.
Okay. So for non-network, where does it exactly come into picture?
See, when you want your container be created and it should not have any network, then we need to create that. Okay, you don't get any internet connection to it, but still the container will be created with no network available, only local host. Okay,
Okay.
so what is advantage of it? You can use for another container as a backend application in that container. You got it right.
Not exactly.
See, let's say your front-end application needs a back-end application running in the background. Let's say it's
Okay.
already created. It should not be communicating to the network, and it should not have any network, only local host network, so that your other
Okay.
container can communicate to that particular container. So in that scenario, we need to create this particular none container.
Okay. 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 Got it.
Any other questions, guys? So then I can step into next features. Each and every command I have explained here, right? All the commands and their screenshots. Okay.
Sudham, so I came across this Docker store. So what is the difference between Hub and this store?
See, Docker store is not at all required actually. So Docker store where you have seen Docker store.
In Google. Yeah, Docker store. I seen in some forums it is like
So it's like
Docker is for official images,
official
something.
images, as well as if you want to store large contents in that, large contents into that, like Hadoop, how we have a large storage, right? So similar to
Okay.
that. Just a
Okay.
second, I'm getting a call. Hello. చెప్పండి. వరుణ్ చెప్పు. ఇవాళ లేదు యాక్చువల్గా, అర్జెంట్ పని ఉంది. సో డైరెక్ట్ రేపు సండే కదా. ఒక నిమిషం, రేపు పొద్దున ఏం లేదు. ఓకే, రేపు పొద్దున వస్తారా? 9:30 అట్లా, 9:30 అట్లా. ఓకే ఓకే దెన్, సరే. So what this particular store will have, right? So it will have certified images and all. Okay, I think we can create an account and we can store the images. I didn't explore much on this particular Docker store because we are not using it. But anyway, it doesn't have much information. I get it's something related to Docker engine. Docker engine. Enterprise edition. Trusted. Docker store. Find trusted and enterprise ready containers, plugins, and Docker editions. Okay. So this will have predefined and trusted, like signed, which are authorized by the Docker team itself. So the signed images, containers, predefined container, in the sense directly you can use as a container. So plugins, okay. So all these things will be available in the Docker store. It's something like a book, okay. Book will have a lot of information with all the things, right? So similar to that, okay. So Docker Hub is like, it will have only images, nothing else. It doesn't have any information like plugins and all. I already told you, right? When you executed this Docker info command, we have seen a lot of things which are supported by logs. If you want to install, if you want to add this particular third-party plugin to your Docker, then we can install it. So that plugins you can find in this Docker store. Okay.
Okay.
So so that is where we have completed with Docker. If you have any questions, just ask me so that I can answer on later, or we can move to the next. Any questions? Anything, that concept which you have not understood, or which are in dilemma of us understanding it? Have you tried this concept? Creating two user networks. Try to create one container in one network and try to create another container in another network. Have you tried pinging from one container to another container? Have you tried this experiment?
No.
What I'm trying to say is, like,
What I did is I created one container in one bridge and another container in another bridge.
yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
I did that.
Okay, have you tried pinging from one container to another container?
Uh, no, I did not do that.
Try to do that and see how we can achieve that. See, it will obviously it will not ping. If it is not pinging, how will you solve this question? Like this particular problem? You are present in the
Adding
same
into the
container.
host file.
That is up to you. How we will resolve that answer, that is up to you.
The same should be in a bridge network, and we should
See, I'm
propagate.
saying clearly, right? Two containers should be present in two different bridge. One should be in default bridge or one should be in user defined bridge. Whatever it is up to you. Both in different two user defined bridges, that is up to you.
I
But
think we
it
need
should
to
have
link
a
the two
different.
containers, right?
Yes, that is what we need to link. There is a
Uh-huh.
concept called link in containers.
Linking.
So
Yeah,
search for it and try
hyphen
to
link.
understand. Okay, hyphen link it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one concept which we have. So I thought you have experimented, but okay, we have discussed about it. Okay, try to do it. If you're not getting it, just tell me so that I will show you the practical work of it. Okay. The guys which already know, just try the experiment. Who are new, just try to explore and try to understand and try to do it from your end. The previous task which I gave it to you, and this is the second task. Okay, you have weekend right today and tomorrow, so you can try it out. Just half an hour or 1 hour is enough to try this experiments. Spend 1 hour for today or tomorrow and try to resolve the two tasks which I gave you. One task is like already explained you, and second task is this one. Okay, link. So from Monday we'll be starting with Docker Swarm. Okay, so Docker Swarm is like important, and then you will understand how to launch containers without going to each and every individual Docker engine and trying to create a containers. How we can create from a centralized location, like how we use VMware ESXi, right? Similar to that. Using vSphere or vCenter will try to communicate to ESXi and create a VMs similar to that.
Sudham's like, can we write
Yeah.
like multi-stage Docker file? Like,
Yes, of course we can write. Why not? We can write it.
so in a single Docker file, like what does it do then? So it like creates multiple.
See, in a Docker file, you are trying to create a container image with specific predefined, what do we say, tasks. Okay. So when someone is trying to create a container, he will get all the things which are already defined in the image. Okay. So when you have when you want to use multiple things, you need to write the steps. You need to add on the steps in the single Docker file itself. So do you want this experiment or will you try to do it from your end?
Yeah. Actually, currently we have one of the application they want to containerize it.
Okay. Then
So,
what is the
so
requirement of that application?
that is a Java application. It has like a lot of dependencies.
Okay.
So it yeah. So we have to write
Oh,
like
a
so
lot of dependencies in the sense, is it a dependency is like package or it's some application?
so like yeah. No, actually I recently joined like in that job.
Oh, okay, okay. So understand dependent Java dependency in the sense, is it a package form or it's an application? See, your Java might be dependent on other applications, right? Which need to be installed first. How certain applications need to be installed. Before that, they will say like first install these particular things and then try to install the actual package. So similar to that, for that Java, do you have any dependency packages that need to be installed first, or any other application need to be installed first? Try to get that clear. Okay.
Yeah, it has yeah. So it has some dependencies on other applications as well, and as well it needs some prerequisite. So what I'm thinking like create an image for the prerequisites and use that base image.
Of course, why not? That's what we can use that base image in this. So you can use from, and then you can specify that particular image name. and after that you can do this particular installation later, whatever you want.
So yeah, instead of that base image, like we can give it like entirely in like multi-stage, like in a single Docker file as well, right?
Of course.
Or
Yeah, everything you can specify in the single thing itself. Instead of writing two different images, you can write everything in a single image file. Maybe the number of layers get increased, but nothing will happen.
okay,
Yeah,
So Sudham,
yeah.
what if we have different microservices, and each service for each service we need to create a different containers, and then we need to interconnect those containers. So
Yes,
we can do that also.
yes, of course. Why not? We can do it. We
Okay.
can do that also. Interconnecting of the containers. See, whatever you're thinking, right? Just try to explore it and understand. Is it possible or not? Okay. Everything is like possible. We can do it actually.
Okay.
So okay, thank you guys. Again, Monday we'll meet and we'll start with the Docker Swarm. Okay. So this is the underlying technologies we have in Docker. So read the document which I have already shared, the Docker deep dive. It explains a lot. And then whatever the points I have told, just try to search in Google and try to understand it. If you're not getting it, just we'll discuss. Okay. So come up
so
with
like
questions.
yeah, what
Yeah.
about the other like namespaces? Like when we will discuss.
See, other namespaces, that's what I'm saying. First, try to explore it, namespaces and all, and come up with queries. That is what I'm saying. What you understood, just tell me so that I will try to reframe it. I can explain like what is IPC. I can show you practically how to create a network namespace. Practical example I can show you. But come up with your queries and see like how you are trying to understand it. If not, then I will try to reframe it. Okay.
Okay.
I want to give few things to you so that you can explore.
Sudham, share me the
Yeah, yeah.
document.
I
I
think
don't
I
have the
gave.
document.
Okay. Guys, can someone ping in the chat room? Or okay, I will give you in the WhatsApp group. Just a second.
Uh, I'm not there in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, tell someone to add. Give the number to them. Post the number here, so they will try to add.
Okay. Yeah. I have posted my number over here. Hello.
I will add it, Harish.
Oh, okay.